Welcome back, guys, to another episode on the Sports Card Podcast with me, the Card Boss. Today is a special episode where I'm going to cover a personal experience of using a particular service that's gaining a lot of traction these days, okay? And that is Wharf Sports Cards card funding service. Now, before I dive into what is card funding and how does it work and my own account, just going to guys, as usual, take you guys a bit on a little bit of a history lesson, okay? So traditionally, when we talk about sports cards, there's buying and selling, pretty simple, okay? But let's focus a bit on the selling, okay? Not everybody has an equal opportunity to sell the cards, okay? And what do I mean by that? So a person like myself, for example, based in Malaysia, many thousand miles away from the US, in order for us to sell cards, okay, we either sell it locally, which for my case, the market is pretty tiny, okay, or we could ship cards to the US and, sell cards through marketplaces like eBay, maybe even through the Facebook forums. But of course, things involve shipping, logistics, time, and of course, cost as well. And of course, don't forget about the hassle of doing the work. So in comes this concept that you guys are pretty familiar with called consignment, okay, where you just package all your cards, send it to just one particular consignor, and they'll handle everything else from the listing, collecting the payments, managing the shipping, and finally remit the net payments. Of course, they take their commission and send the net back to you. So you guys are very familiar with the concept of consignment, okay? Some of the big consignors out there, right? Probstein 123 has been in this market for the longest time, doing hundreds of millions in gross revenue on eBay. Others as well, big one, DC Sports, whom I've also used as well, 4 Sharp Corners, MC Sports Cards. So many consignors out there, okay? And a lot of them, offer various rates, okay, to attract you guys to consign with them. Probstein being the longest in the market, being the biggest in the market, I would assume that they offer the most competitive rates that's out there for cards that's above $1,000 up to 95% payout, and that's net, all right? It's almost equivalent of receiving PayPal goods and services, all right? So pretty awesome stuff. So a lot of sellers like myself who want to move cards from overseas, it's easy to just package your cards and send it to a consignor, and you do everything else and you get paid later on. Now, what about buying? Okay, now buying, of course, is a bit more straightforward. You could go eBay, buy, and have a seller ship to you, and that's pretty alright. But what about huge cards, big cards? Okay, some cards you're talking about, let's say $10,000. A lot of times when you see a huge card that you're interested in and you want to buy it, but maybe at that point in time you're short of funds, so maybe you scramble, okay? You scramble around trying to sell certain things to get enough cash so that you have enough money to actually acquire that card. Now, if this was something that you negotiated on Facebook, something that a buyer and seller could, on time frame, could negotiate, like, look, give me a couple of days, let me sort out my cards and move a few things so I can pay you and then get a deal done. That's all right. But what about if, let's say, the card was on auction? Okay, that's gonna count down, and let's say like 5 days to go. Now you could move your cards, stockpile a bunch of cash, and then get ready to make a strong bid for the card. But what if you lose? Okay, which does happen. Somebody just wants it more and just bid a bit more than you, and then what you're stuck with, no doubt, some money, but you then kind of like a regret on why did I sell those cards in the first place. If I knew that I was not going to win, I'd probably be better off holding those cards than now having this stack of money, although money is a good thing. So that runs into a dilemma whereby people tend to face some challenges when they want to acquire big cards, grails such as that. Later on, a couple of auction houses such as Goldin and all, offer different alternatives whereby people who purchase big cards on their platform are able to pay off for that purchase using subsequent consignments, and that's quite an attractive proposition as well. It works well for Alt and Goldin because they not only get a commission on the sale of the card, but they also will receive subsequent commissions on the sale of cards that you consign with them. Okay, so it's a pretty good deal overall. Just all they have to do is just to wait a little bit longer. But restriction on that is basically you're confined to only procuring the big cards on those auction houses. So if the card you're looking for are not on either of those two auction houses, you can't actually use that service. And that's where the story leads to Wharf Sports Cards. So a little bit on Wharf Sports Cards. Wharf is founded by Nick Fredericks. I've not spoken to him before in person. I've not interviewed him for this podcast. And so whatever information I have is based on whatever I've read and learned and observed throughout these last couple of months, as well as using the service. So I interacted with Nick on using the service. Okay, now Wharf started, I think, back in 2017 as just a regular consignment house, much like Probstein and DC Sports. But later on, Nick kind of closed down Wharf and then moved on to work for PWCC, and later on resumed back Wharf to do consignments. So that's all good, okay? But the game changer started when Wharf introduced the card funding concept somewhere in July 2024. Now, what this card funding does is similar to what I mentioned earlier about Godin and whereby you're able to pay off purchases using cards that you're going to send in for consignment with Wharf. Okay, but the big difference is Wharf is able to procure cards for you from any platform and not restricted to either Godin or Alt. So which means that if there was a card that you're looking for from eBay, okay, from Heritage, from any one of those auction houses that normally maybe you don't have the time to look at or don't have access to it, or maybe the premier auction for Finance Collect that you don't have access to, he's able to do that for you. Okay, and what he does is he offers you a 45-day payment period whereby you can send in cards to be sent on consignment and list and use the proceeds to pay off the purchase. Sounds good, okay? Now, the one thing that's going to be in your mind is like, look, that's all great, okay? It's an excellent service, but how much fees am I losing in between? That's very, very important. Okay, so traditionally, as you're aware, consignment houses take quite a nice substantial cut. Okay, way back earlier, talking about 10, 12, 15%, because what they're doing, they're essentially taking away the work from you to list on eBay yourself. So if eBay is going to charge you anywhere between 12 to 15%, not only they're going to charge you the 12 to 15%, but they're going to add a little bit of percentage on top for doing the work. And that's pretty normal, okay? But of course, as time goes by, the consignment houses get very, very more competitive, and they're able to, reduce the fees to the point whereby it makes it attractive for you to send in cards to them, because it even beats you listing on eBay yourself, as an example. Okay, now, but what Wharf has done was he's actually come up with the consignment rates, as you can see here, which is pretty competitive. When you compare, so put side by side with the biggest consigner in the market at the moment, Probstein. Okay, it's pretty similar. And the question is, how is Wharf able to offer such high consignment rates? Because if they're able to do a card funding service, which means that they're actually spending the time to acquire the cards and later on trying to pay off those cards using consignments, but yet offering strong competitive rates compared to Probstein, which is the biggest consigner on eBay with hundreds of millions in revenue, how is Wharf able to do that? And that's pretty interesting as well. So when I dive in a bit further, Wharf works exclusively with Finance Collect, and as mentioned before on this channel, Finance Collect offers the dealer program, okay, which incentivizes sellers for hitting sales target, and the highest sales point or the highest tier would be the platinum tier, whereby the commission rates is about 4.16%. Okay, so as you can see here, Wharf actually offers commission payouts of up to 94%, right, for anything above $5,000. So there is a little bit of squeeze, a little bit of margin from Wharf if you say sending cards for $5,000 and above, and it gets a bit bigger for sending lower end stuff. And that's how essentially Wharf makes their margin, which is great. Okay, so what you're getting from this is you're getting a service to procure a card that you want. You get a 45-day payment period, and you get a consignment rates that's almost the best in the market when you compare to the big boys such as Probstein, and you don't have to do anything much else. You don't do run around to look for people to buy your cards, so that you could raise cash and make the payments. So all in all, it's a good thing. And when you look at Wharf itself, when they are doing this service, right? So a person like myself, when I want to be part of the dealer program, on the platinum level, to achieve $400,000 in gross revenue over the course of 3 months, or 1.6 million over the course of a year, it's a pretty challenging stuff when you try to buy and sell your own cards. Most people may not even cross 100K revenue, or let alone, or maybe 200K revenue. What more, 1.6 million. So the trick is not to just only sell your cards, but to sell cards, other people's cards, and that's through consignment. But again, how do you attract people to consign with you compared to some of the other guys out there like Probstein? Is to offer the added value service, which is the card funding service. So it's awesome, all right? It's awesome stuff. So back to my story, okay? Now, I had recently acquired a 2003 exquisite Michael Jordan autograph patch number 200 BGS 9.5 somewhere in October of 2024, and this particular LeBron James 2003 rookie exquisite similar set as the Jordan number 200 BGS 9.5 popped up in Heritage auction. Now I'm qualified to bid on Heritage, but there was just one tiny problem. Okay, the auction was ending at exact time when I was on a plane to the Hong Kong card show. All right, so no time better than to try the service, all right, and to get in touch with Nick to ask him whether or not could I bid on this card, or could he bid on this card on my behalf, right? Now for this particular LeBron James, I had a valuation of $62,000, okay, all in. So which means that my high bid was about 55K when you factor in buyer's premium and a bit of insurance and shipping. So I was willing to go in pretty strong, okay? And the best part is I already had the cards lined up that I wanted to sell if I wanted to pay for this card in the event that I won, okay? So it's all good to go, and I didn't need to move any of the cards until I knew whether I won or not. So it's quite a nice feeling to be in, because I didn't have to rush around to really stockpile my cash just to ready to make this particular huge bid, okay, not knowing whether I would win or not, because it was my first time bidding on Heritage as well. And this is a huge card, so it's a LeBron rookie, although maybe the patch is not like the best, but no doubt it's a BGS 9.5 LeBron exquisite first year rookie card. Can't say no to that, right? Okay, now hop on the flight, get on the flight, come down. First thing I check my phone and I text Nick, did we do it? We got it, all right? And not only we got it at a very nice bid, okay, that I won it at just 4,000, was it 45,000? Okay, and it was like 51K or 52K after buyer's premium. Okay, I gotta look at my numbers, but it was way below my target price, and I couldn't be happier that I got in. And best part is I didn't need to move all the cards that was kind of like assigned to this particular purchase. Okay, so the transition, because Wharf was already on Finex Collect, my cards were on Finex Collect, everything was moved through the instant vault transfer. The consignment process went smooth, cards were paid, cards were sold, cards were subsequently sold, cards were paid, funded. There was a bit of difference when you needed to settle in cash, and there was a bit of 2% extra that was paid in cash, and that's all right. Okay, but all in all, it was awesome. All right, I picked up a card that I really wanted at a timing that I really could not have access to bid on the card myself. I got the card at a price that was way below than what I was hoping to get for, and all I needed to do was I had 45 days to move certain cards, and I didn't, although I had those cards already lined up on what I would sell in the event I won, I didn't need to sell everything, which was amazing. So to me, all in all, excellent service, excellent business model, okay, combining the consignment concept and combining the card funding service, okay, which is something that I believe the market is lacking. I think not a lot of people are willing to take the risk, okay, like what Nick is doing, to procure certain cards first and later on get paid. Of course, I believe there is some background checks to the individuals who he's acquiring the cards for. In my case, I kind of have a good standing in the market, so it was pretty alright for Nick to make that kind of purchase. Or maybe he has some other kind of safeguards as well in place. I'm not exactly sure. Okay, but nevertheless, pretty happy with the overall service, and I'm pretty amazed with this business concept because Nick makes a lot of money through the consignment this way, because there's a lot of people who are chasing big grills, which previously, I'm not saying they can't afford, they definitely can afford, but don't have the cash at a ready to go, which is one of the big gaps in this market. So the service that he's offering kind of like bridges that gap very seamlessly, and it also helps him with his business on Finance Collect. Pretty awesome stuff. All right, that's it for this business review. I find it pretty interesting, so I thought maybe when I was thinking about it, it was kind of nice. So, and I use the service, I'm pretty happy with it, so I thought maybe put something to share with you guys, for something that you guys may want to consider in the future. All right, that's all for this episode on the podcast. Thanks for watching, guys. Do like, subscribe, and I'll see you guys again soon. Couples out.